Yesterday, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua opened a can of worms again. This came about when he lectured RAILA Amolo Odinga on a funeral in Nyandarua. Gachagua came out to say that the Kikuyu community or the Gema community is so afraid of RAILA Amolo Odinga because he has always fought them to an extent of converting their son, Uhuru Kenyatta, against them. So in this episode, I've come to talk about the enmity of the Kikuyu and Luo community and how it got to this level. But I also want to tell you that this is a new channel. So if you are new to this channel, please subscribe, leave a comment, and also like, so that I can be motivated to do more of such videos. So before I talk about the enmity, which has always been between the Luos and the Kikuyus, let me first give you the video when Rigathi Gachagua was opening a can of worms before we proceed.
And this country, all the demonstrations you have led, none has ever been peaceful. They have all been violent. And that is why the government will not allow any demonstration anywhere in this country going forward. Haitawezekana. Hiyo I'm telling you ukiwa hapa. Si mimi niko? Niko. Finally, former Prime Minister, my brother, hatukatai salamu, hatukatai maongeo. Najua kikwetu, maybe huyu governor atakwambia. What we say, somebody who has been bitten by a black snake, even when you see a black pot, you run away. And it's good I tell you today, because you are here and you have raised the matter. We fear you. Kuwa na wasiwasi. That is the reason, and I must tell you that is why tukisikia mambo ya salamu tunakuwa na uoga. Lakini if you assure us hakuna kitu tafanyika kwa rais wetu mkipatana, muendelee. Lakini sisi katika area hii tunaogopa.
That is Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of Kenya. As he was opening worms, as he was talking about the enmity between the Kikuyus and the Luos. So I'm going to take you backwards. And we must ask ourselves, when did this enmity begin? We all know that Kenya got its independence in 1963. There are very many people who fought for independence, from Pio Gamapinto, Tom Mboya, Jaramogi Odinga, Kenneth Matiba, Uhuru, Jomo Kenyatta. When Kenya was going to get its independence, by that time, Jomo Kenyatta was in prison. And they were looking for a prime minister to take Kenya forward. The people who are in the Legislative Council, the people I've mentioned, vowed not to continue with this process until Jomo Kenyatta was released. And in this video, Jaramogi Odinga was asked about the same, and he said these words. Here is the tape.
Jomo Kenyatta is the father of the African nationalism and the African national movement in this country.
But surely you're all rather more advanced than he is in your thinking about politics. Wouldn't he embarrass you if he was really let go now?
We cannot in any sense be more advanced than our teacher and master, whom I think is much more advanced in political outlook in this country than we are. We are still just in the stages of learning politics from him.
That is Jaramogi Odinga, who comes from the Luo community. When Jomo Kenyatta was released in prison, they got independence. He went on to become the first Prime Minister of Kenya. And after getting independence, he went into a presidential system and went on to become the first President of Kenya. When he became the President of Kenya, he appointed Jaramogi Odinga as the Vice President of Kenya. And Jaramogi was Vice President for 2 years. Jomo Kenyatta hailed from the Kikuyu community, which is by the way the majority in Kenya. Jaramogi Odinga hailed from the Luo community. After independence in 1963, this duo worked together not until 1966, barely after 3 years, where Jaramogi Odinga resigned as the vice president.
It is fairly clear that there is pressure and desire that I should leave the government. The authority concerned has, however, showed reluctance to say so openly to the public. If I thought that there was the slightest chance or putting things right from within the government, then this desire to remove me from office would not worry me, as indeed it has not done for the last 1 year. However, wananchi, my honest opinion is that the present government has reached a point of no return. It can only do for the people the little that the underground master allows it to do. Its guiding star has become personal gain. I therefore find it impossible to be part of it, and my decision is that from now on I should be free to join with wananchi in demanding that their voice be heard.
The reason as to why Jaramogi Odinga resigned as the vice president was written in his book. One of the reasons was Jaramogi, who hails from the Luo community, wanted to work with the Soviet Union, yet Jomo Kenyatta wanted to work with the Europeans. So when Jaramogi resigned as the first vice president, he even formed a new political party called Kenyan KPU to oppose Jomo Kenyatta. And remember, by this time, Jomo Kenyatta had banned all political parties, and due to this, Jaramogi was even detained in prison for opposing the president. So that was that day when this enmity started, because the Luos accused the Kikuyus of betraying their son. After Jaramogi being outside government, there erupted another problem in 1969, the death of Tom Mboya. In fact, when Tom Mboya was assassinated, it is believed that Jomo Kenyatta was the one who orchestrated this murder. We all know that even Tom Mboya had some disagreement with the sitting president. Okay? And remember, during this time, Jomo Kenyatta hailed from the Kikuyu tribe, yet the person who was again assassinated came from the Luo community.
A South African spy was interviewed and claimed that South Africans might have had something to do with the assassination of Mr. Mboya. You have commented on this, I know.
I commented last night, and I would like to repeat the same thing, that we have no knowledge of this, and I cannot definitely say anything that affects a sister state. No, I won't, as I said, let us all avoid speculation. I don't want to prejudice the cases, sub judice, and I don't want to go anything that would block the way in this.
And at the funeral, at the last funeral rites of Tom Mboya, where Jomo Kenyatta had come to pay the last respect, the fight erupted, and here the police beat up people who were demonstrating against the sitting president. This happened in Nyanza, where Jomo Kenyatta had gone to pay his last respect to Tom Mboya, who was hailing from the Luo community.
As the body of Tom Mboya was on its way to All Saints Roman Catholic Cathedral, the pent-up tensions of the waiting crowd neared danger point. The assassinated Kenya minister was a member of the Luo tribe. Bad feeling between his brother tribesmen and Kikuyus, from whom most other members of the Kenya government are drawn, had almost reached its violent climax as the coffin came to the place where it would rest in state after a memorial service. Mourners in their thousands wept unashamedly, sharing the grief of Mrs. Mboya and her children as they entered the cathedral. For President Kenyatta, this too was a time of tension. The anger of many Kenyans had turned towards him as a member of the Kikuyu. Mboya, if he had lived, would probably have been the presidential successor. Kenya at this time was a nation in ferment. As the memorial service began, armed police, supported by troops, faced the inevitable flare-up of tribal hatred. Spurred on by their grief, Luos clashed with Kikuyus, while the forces of law and order fought to keep control. As he left the cathedral, President Kenyatta was ringed by a tight cloak of security. widow and her children left behind a husband and father whose untimely death had sparked off a surge of tribal violence which seemed set to have wide internal repercussions.
So, the killing of Tom Mboya further continued to cement the enmity which is between the Luos and the Kikuyus. So, after Jomo Kenyatta's death, we all know what happened, and Moi ascended to power. Here, the enmity kind of reduced because even Moi never picked a Luo as the vice president. He went on to pick vice presidents mostly from the Kikuyu community. So in this way, the Kikuyus and the Luos had a common enemy in Moi, because Moi went on to rule Kenya for more than 21 years. In 2002, the long enmity which had started to dwindle was again opened up when Moi, instead of picking Raila Amolo Odinga as the preferred successor, picked Uhuru Kenyatta as a preferred successor.
Vyama vyote vya kikabila na nikaona kwamba yule ambaye anaweza kuendesha kupeleka wananchi kama vile mimi ningependelea wananchi kuongozwa ni Uhuru Kenyatta. Huyo kijana huyo.
And after Moi picking Uhuru as a preferred successor, the enmity was further resurrected. In 2002, Raila Odinga decided to support Mwai Kibaki so that they can defeat the project in Uhuru Kenyatta, which was picked by Moi. And they formed in the national NAC, the National Rainbow Coalition, which went on ahead to win the 2002 general election.
Rais mteule wa Jamhuri wa Kenya Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki tukia kule Uhuru Park. Kule Uhuru Park tulisema ya kwamba Moi ana mpango ya kujaribu kutupata kama sisi bado hatujakuwa tayari. Na tulisema siku ile ya kwamba tulijaribu kuua mandege matatu na jiwe moja. Siku hiyo hiyo tulibuni chama cha DP. Alafu vile vile tukaunganisha DP na Ford People for the Rainbow Coalition. Tukaunda National Rainbow Coalition. Na sivyo? Tukasema NAC sasa ndio itakuwa ni jahazi yetu ambayo tunavuka naye kutoka ngambo hii kuelekea Canaan. Si sawa sawa? Hata hii mzee Kibaki si ametosha? Na mkasemaje? Nyachai akasema ndio Raila alifanya makosa. Mimi niliuliza wananchi na wananchi walisema Kibaki ametosha. Ametosha? Ametosha?
So in this government, there was a seemingly a sign of friendship between the Kikuyus and the Luos, but this was short-lived. In 2007, Raila Odinga decided not to back Mwai Kibaki again, and we all know even Mwai Kibaki came from the Kikuyu community. So when the election was concluded and the Electoral Commission announced Mwai Kibaki as winner, the Luos, who were headed by Raila Amolo Odinga, tried to galvanize other communities to fight the Kikuyus. And this came to be known as 52 against 1. All communities were galvanized to fight the Kikuyus.
If Kibaki accept that position, then we can negotiate. Then we can dialogue. Without that, there's no basis at all for dialogue. Lives are being lost unnecessarily because of the irresponsibility of one person called Emilio Mwai Kibaki.
People of this country are angry about what they've done to the people.
He's calling for mass action, countrywide protests for 3 days later this week.
No peace! We don't want dialogue! No peace!
This led to loss of lives because there was a fight between the Kikuyus and the other community. Okay, this led to the government of national unity where Raila Odinga was appointed as prime minister.
They have a deal in Kenya. President Mwai Kibaki announced to the assembled press at State House in Nairobi that they will form a power-sharing cabinet in the country.
The new cabinet will prioritize resettlement of the displaced people so that they can resume normal lives and play their part in nation building.
So after this 2007 post-election violence where Kikuyus lost their lives and Luos also lost their lives, the enmity was further cemented because they saw Raila Amolo Odinga as a face of violence which was meted on the Kikuyus. And even the Luos saw Kibaki, who hailed from the Kikuyu community, as the face of violence which was meted on the Luos. And to make matters worse, when they were taking people to ICC, we all remember that Raila Odinga, who ran as president, and Mwai Kibaki, who was president then, were not taken to ICC. The people who were taken to ICC were Uhuru Kenyatta and William Samoei Ruto. So even the Kikuyus further went on to see Raila Amolo Odinga and other code principals as hypocrites, because Raila was never taken. Yet they took Uhuru Kenyatta, their son. So after the 2007 post-election violence, this enmity was further cemented. We also continue. In 2013, this election was again between Kikuyu, Uhuru Kenyatta, and Raila Amolo Odinga, a Luo, where Uhuru Kenyatta was announced as winner. So furthermore, this enmity was cemented because the Luos said that they have been rigged out even in this election. Come 2017, the same happened to an extent that Raila Odinga announced himself in as the president.
Raila Amolo Odinga, in full realization of the high calling, assumed the office of the People's President of the Republic of Kenya. Do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the people and the so help me God.
This enmity of Kikuyu and Luos has stayed for a long time, has been there since independence. In fact, the foundation of enmity was laid by Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi Odinga. And we all know that their sons contested for presidents twice. And the Kikuyus backing Uhuru Kenyatta won this. In fact, when you look backwards, there is an audio where of Jomo Kenyatta attacking Jaramogi.
Kitu gani KPU wanasema tume kwa mama zenu tume. Wanaleta nini katika Kenya? Wanafanyia nini katika nchi hii ya Wajaluo? Wanafanya nini KPU? Tuambieni. Kitu gani? Hakuna, ni mdomo mtupu kama punda vile analia katika msituni. Hakuna kitu kingine. Lakini serikali yenu tukufu inafanya mengi kwa wananchi na itazidi kufanya mengi kwa wananchi. Kwa hivyo mimi nikiwa kiongozi wa serikali hii ya Kenya, mimi nasema siwezi kukubali mtu au vikundi vya watu kuchezea serikali yetu katika ardhi yetu tuliyoipigania. Hapana, na hakuna rafiki kuliko wewe. Kama ungekuwa wewe ni mtu wa kweli ujinga, ungesimama na kusema hiyo. Mimi nasema ni kweli, sababu hata ndugu yangu mwenyewe, kile nilikupenda wewe, sikupenda ndugu yangu kama wewe.
Na mimi nasema tena kwamba hatuwezi kutaka mtu au watu kuharibu nchi yetu. Hatuwezi kutaka mtu au watu kuharibu uhuru wetu, sababu sisi wote ni ndugu. Mbeberu alitaka kututenganisha, akisema huyu ni Mjaluo, huyu ni Mkikuyu, huyu ni Muluhya, huyu ni Mmasai, huyu ni Mkamba, huyu ni Mzwai. Ndio tengane na yafurahi, sababu katika doctrine yake, katika mipango ya beberu ni divide and rule. Gawanya ndio uweze kutawala. Labda walikugawia hiyo kitu baba.
For me, what I know about this enmity is you hear Jomo Kenyatta referring to Jaramogi Odinga as his friend, and that if it was not for Jaramogi being his friend, he would have dealt with him. That is why even when Jomo Kenyatta died, Jaramogi came to pay his last respect. So, in this enmity, truth be told, the Luos have at a certain point supported the Kikuyus. Jaramogi declined being the first prime minister and supported the Kikuyus. Even in 2002, Raila Amolo Odinga backed Mwai Kibaki. Okay? But that has not been seen by the Kikuyus. Truth be told, if it wasn't the style of play of politics, maybe Raila Odinga would have been president. But unfortunately, that is not how politics works. The presidency is supposed to be gotten, is supposed to be fought for, it's not supposed to be given. And the reason as to why Raila Odinga went on to lose the 2022 general election is that he thought Uhuru Kenyatta was going to give him the presidency. The president is supposed to be taken, it's not supposed to be given. So I think the enmity of the Kikuyus and the Luo dates back in 1963 after the independence, where our founding fathers fought. Because the Luos and the Kikuyus have always been at the center of government and opposition politics in Kenya. In fact, there are two tribes which are not normally in the opposition. The Kalenjins and the Kikuyus are always in government. Okay? So, the Luos have always played the opposition politics in Kenya, which has created more enmity between them and the Kikuyus. Of course, that is my opinion. You can also tell me what you think by commenting on this video. Thank you very much for listening in. If this is your first time on this YouTube channel, I implore you to subscribe, like, and comment so that I can be motivated to do more of such videos. Peace.